From Whiplash to La La Land, director Damien Chazelle continues to dazzle, delivering us some of the best cinema of the decade. Is the Academy Award-winning director able to do it again with the Neil Armstrong biopic First Man? My thoughts on the film coming up. What is up, everyone, and welcome to Men vs. Movies. I'm Griffin, as always, and if this is your first time checking out one of our videos, consider hitting that subscribe button, where we take on the best and worst of cinema on a weekly basis. First Man is Academy Award-winning director Damien Chazelle's latest venture, and he's re-teaming with Ryan Gosling along with an all-star cast consisting of Claire Foy, Kyle Chandler, Corey Stoll, and Jason Clarke. The film is based off of the Neil Armstrong biography of the same name written by James R. Hansen, and it follows, of course, Neil Armstrong as he embarks upon one of the boldest risks of mankind, landing on the moon. In a space race against the Soviets, the film also serves as a deconstruction of the Gemini and Apollo programs, highlighting heavily the immense risk involved in space travel. So before I dive into my actual thoughts, I want to get one thing straight. I want to get one thing out of the way. There's been a lot of controversy that has surrounded this film. There have been a lot of complaints about the fact that this is an anti-American film, that this is a film that tries to rewrite history, burying the past, and negating America's achievement in being the first country to send a man to the moon. And specifically, the controversy surrounding the lack of the American flag on the moon by apparently a bunch of experts who have already seen the film that hasn't even gotten a wide release yet. And I just want to set the record straight and say that that is a load of bullshit. This film is the exact opposite of anti-American propaganda. It is an incredibly American film that honors all of those involved in the Apollo program, highlighting the immense risks that they took, highlighting the sacrifices that were made, and weirdly enough, contrary to what these supposed experts are saying, does show the American flag on the moon. There's a beautiful vista shot of Neil standing next to the flag on the moon in a sort of mission accomplished manner. And even still, this is a film that decides to focus on Neil Armstrong, the man, and it focuses on his reactions and his emotional moments when he has achieved the unthinkable, being the first man to step out onto the moon. And so naturally, the film is going to focus on his emotions in that moment, which it does beautifully. But I digress. And so let's dive into this film for what it is, and it is an absolute astounding masterpiece. Damien Chazelle does it again. I don't know how this man does it, but he continues to knock my socks off again and again, with First Man being probably one of the best space travel films I have ever seen. Chazelle is drawn to stories about passionate artists working their fingers to the bone, and in some cases that is literal if you look at Whiplash, and making incredible sacrifices in order to achieve greatness. It's with that notion in mind that it makes complete sense for Damien Chazelle to tell the story of Neil Armstrong, because even though the man wasn't an artist in the traditional sense of the word, he embodied the passion and drive that is found in almost every single one of Chazelle's characters. He really takes the time to show how Neil worked tirelessly, even through tragedy, while full well knowing that any of these tests or launches could very well be the end for him. It's that drive, bravery, and sacrifice that act as the backbone to First Man, and we see firsthand the effect it has on his family. Neil's wife Janet is fully aware of the constant failed attempts and near-death crashes the program has endured. And as the film progresses, Chazelle cleverly interweaves footage of it taking a toll on her. All of this leads to an emotional confrontation between her and Neil, where she demands that he sits their kids down and prepares them for the fact that he may never return. It's one of the most powerful scenes in the entire film that's enhanced further by expert performances from Ryan Gosling and Claire Foy. You can be sure come award season that both Gosling and Foy are going to be heavily considered for their performances here. Now, Ryan Gosling's performance isn't the flashiest, and I can see people being underwhelmed by him, but I found it to be incredibly brilliant. He exhibits a very somber portrayal of Neil Armstrong that I can only believe is as cinematically close to the actual man as we'll ever get. If you're familiar familiar with Armstrong, then you know that he's not the most emotive person. He's very much the mission first kind of guy, which is why he was selected to be the first man to walk on the moon in the first place. He doesn't mince words, and his devotion to achieving the impossible could not be more prominent. And so it's with that in mind that I really felt that Ryan Gosling became Neil Armstrong. On top of that, Gosling isn't afraid to explore the more vulnerable sides of the character, resulting in several isolated scenes where he can't help but break down due to the failures and losses the program has amassed. It's a very subtle performance with such nuance that does the historical icon justice. As for Claire Foy, she masterfully conveys the strength and composure of Janet throughout the entirety of the journey. She is legitimately the rock for her children, the very strong parental figure that is needed during this time, and she isn't afraid to forwardly express her opinions about what's going on, even to NASA officials. Foy absolutely commands the screen in several scenes, making the audience fully aware of the sacrifice that is being made by her and her family. So I've talked a little bit about why this film is emotionally resonant. Now let's get into the more technical side of it, the filmmaking craft that really makes this film come alive. Before my screening of the film, Neil's sons, Mark and Eric, took the stage to acknowledge the incredible achievement Damien and Chazelle had pulled off. And there was no higher praise than when they said, "You want to know what it's like? Well, you're about to witness it." And you know what? That was a statement that stuck with me throughout the entirety of the film's runtime. Not only is this film a profound and emotionally intimate character study of Neil and his family, but it's also one of the most visceral, immersive, and realistic space films I've ever seen. With one of the tensest and most white-knuckling openings to a film I've seen since Dunkirk, Chazelle is only giving us a sneak preview of what is to come later down the road. He so accurately depicts every experiment, launch, and landing with such intensity, and honestly embraces the numerous failures along with the well-earned successes. From the second the astronauts are enclosed inside the steel chamber of the rocket, we are locked inside with them. Every rattle, thrust, and spinning gauge is so viscerally felt, and it makes for this exhilarating yet incredibly terrifying ride to the finish. And it's all of these elements that are working so beautifully together that build up to this exceptionally breathtaking finale that is the entirety of the moon landing sequence, paired with an astonishing score from Justin Hurwitz, and it's as if the audience is experiencing the moon landing for the first time without any prior knowledge of the outcome. I know I've probably already said it before, but I'm gonna say it again. It is, honest to God, one of the most spectacular space sequences I have ever experienced. If we're looking at Damien Chazelle's track record now, he's 4 for 4. Yes, I'm including Guy and Madeline on a park bench. And the thing I love the most about all of this is that he's essentially announced to the world with such spectacle that it doesn't matter the genre or style of film he's making, he can expertly go to infinity and beyond. I had to steal that line from my written review. I just loved it so much, and it's incredibly fitting. And so, for all the reasons I've mentioned throughout my review, I'm ultimately going to be giving First Man Supercharged. Go see this film in IMAX. Seriously, it is an incredible experience that you're never going to forget. I know I'm not going to, and this is by far one of my favorite films of the year, if not my favorite. Poll question. Be sure to let me know down below what your favorite Damien Chazelle film is, and after First Man comes out, I want to hear your thoughts on that film down there below. Let's have a great discussion about this achievement. And while you're down there, be sure to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel where we take on the best and worst of cinema on a weekly basis. You can also like Men vs. Movies on Facebook and follow us on Twitter simply by searching Men vs. Movies. And lastly, guys, if you like me specifically and you like what I have to say, you can always give me a follow on Twitter at Griff Schiller. All right, that's gonna do it for this review, and until next time, take care.